So Dragon Ball Sparking Zero officially releases in a little under 2.5 months at this point. And let's be honest, this could be one of the best Dragon Ball games of all time. Everyone across the globe who's a Dragon Ball fan have been very, very much awaiting a Budokai Tenkaichi 4 and this kind of making, right? So it is really good that we're getting this game. However, there are still things that can be improved upon. No game is perfect, and I think that one thing that kind of has flown under the radar in the past few weeks that I don't really see a lot of discussion about anymore is the character select screen. So this is a thing that a lot of people had an issue with when we first saw the character select screen. And if you hadn't seen it before, it should be on the screen right now. It is pretty much just the background of the stage you select, then in front of it you see the character model of the character you're hovering over, and then the actual roster of characters on the left side. Now, me personally, I'm not really a big fan of this. I actually would prefer more I think traditional character select screen with the PNGs, kind of like the first few Tenkaichi games before Sparking Zero here. I do think that that screen looks better, but let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite Dragon Ball game character select screen that appeared and how you would like this screen to look like. But of course, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of this screen and maybe what they could potentially do to improve it, because while we know this is not the final version of the character select screen, I do think that it's gonna be a good basis of what we're going to see. I'm not expecting them to make a huge overhaul to this. Ideally, they make an overhaul to it, and it looks like it did in Tenkaichi 3 even, but we'll just have to wait and see what exactly is going to happen in that regard. So without further ado, let's hop right into this. Again, I do think that there are some pros about this character select screen, which we'll cover really quickly. One thing I really do like about the idea behind the screen is the transition right into battle. I think that no loading screen, you just go straight into the action, straight into the fight. The first character versus character dialogue is really sick, and I do like the fact that again, especially that there's no loading screen, like I said, because it just feels so seamless, and it just feels really nice to see that, especially the more you play. I did really enjoy that aspect of it, but again, it just everything around it just feels bloated, lifeless. One major change that they really have to make is how the forms are separated. It's just not it. What it is right now is every single different form has its own slot. That does make sense in the fact that it's how we've seen the character select screen in the trailers, right, quote unquote, where it's all the characters, different forms have different, spaces in the roster, and they do count each form as its own separate character, which makes sense that they all have different attacks, and things like that, and different auras, etc, etc. So I can understand why they count it as a separate character, especially because they did do it that way in the original games. But with how it is right now compared to what it was even in Tenkaichi 3, right? In Tenkaichi 3, they all counted as different character slots, right? But what happened is you went over to the character, you selected them, and then another little pop-out comes out over the existing character select screen, and then you get to select which form it is there. But how it is now is you have to hover over directly to that form, and they're already all extended out. I think that's a really bad idea. It makes the roster feel super bloated, and even just in a demo that has under 50% of the character roster that's going to be available, it just takes so long to go and find the certain character that you're going to want to do. So there's a couple of things that they could do to fix that. One, literally just make it like it was in Tenkaichi 3, literally what I was saying, where all the characters, you have Goku early, then you have Goku mid, and if you select Goku mid, it opens a separate tab, then you see the Super Saiyan form. You can go to Goku and Z, then you select a separate tab, you see Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, especially for characters that have the full max amount of transformations. Like Super Goku has base form, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, right? You have Goku Super that has, you know, UI, then UI Sign probably. Goku Black will have, well, Goku Black will actually have different forms, but like Dragon Ball Super Vegeta, right? He has Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, right? All these different forms, and it just like makes the roster just like so much harder to navigate through, and it's kind of annoying. So hopefully that is one change that they do make, just really condensing down the roster so it's easier to kind of take it all in as well. Another thing they could do, and they could do both of these at the same time, is maybe they'll allow you to favorite your characters in a sense, right? Like you can click on a certain option. It's like, okay, I want to pin this character. This is one of my favorite characters to use. I want to pin them. And then if you pin them, they're at the top of the character select screen automatically. So that, hey, I'm going to use, you know, maybe you're a big Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black fan, right? You're like, I want to use Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black in like every single match I have. I'm going to go ahead and favor him and pin him to the top. Maybe you could pin 5 characters, or maybe even how many characters you want. And then that way you can sort of quote unquote customize the characters you want to use. That's not a fix in itself, but if I think that could be another way that they could add on to improving the roster and how just like, you know, bloated it can be. Because even if they do the condense like kind of thing, there's still gonna be like a good 100 characters on the character select screen that you're gonna have to just like go and sort through every single match. I think that just make things a lot simpler. Or, you know, there is also the option of creating team like preset teams that you could do, and then okay, you know, I like using this team setup a lot, so we're gonna go ahead and select a preset team, and then instantly you're ready for the fight, right? You know, that could especially be really nice in online battles when you're gonna have likely a timer to select your character, right? So I think that'll be a really good change that they could potentially do for the character select screen. Now next, I think that adding more liveliness to everything would be really nice. I mean, this is very basic, but have the characters get idle animations, or maybe they even say a certain voice line if you stay on them for too long, right? Just adding something to make it more interactive, make it more kind of cool, right? You know, because a lot of different games have characters, you know, they move around or they jump around. When you're on the character select screen, they actually, you know, do more than just like, you know, Goku just like he floats down to the screen. Like every character, they pretty much just like float down or like jump down to the screen and they're like, okay, and then they jump away. And it's like, you know, they do have some of the voice lines, but adding some extra stuff could be really cool. Maybe like, you know, if you stay on Goku Super for a while, he like jumps around like he does in Dragon Ball Super Broly, stretching. You know, maybe Birder, you could see he just like runs off the screen, then comes back and is like a little pose that he could do, and then he, you know, and just like goes back to normal after a little bit. Maybe you could have Piccolo, maybe Piccolo, even specifically the NZ Piccolo, where he is against, you know, Android 17, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of times Piccolo, like, you know, puts his hand to his neck and just cracks his neck, you know, and just stretches. Something like that could be really cool. I think there's a lot of cool idle animations that the characters can have. And again, that'll just make the, I think, screen itself much more lively, right? And I think that's a big word that I'm using so much in this video, just because, like I said, the character select screen right now feels plain. If you're gonna want to do a character select screen like this with the models, there are tons of ways you could do that. You could even maybe have all the characters, like, you know, let's say you select Trunks and then you select Vegeta, and then maybe there's like a special animation between the two or a special voice line between the two, where Vegeta's like, you know, Vegeta could be something like, don't make me proud, or something, I don't know, something like that. You're saying pride, you know, whatever. Something like that could be really cool. And it's like, okay, you know, if I'm selecting these certain characters that get along with each other, maybe characters that don't get along with each other as well, something like that could be really fun. And it's just a nice little nod, and it makes you feel nice. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? You know, especially your first few times seeing it. And that could just make, you know, even the character selecting, you just make it fun, right? You know, that's the big basis. The game is supposed to be fun, of course. Now, one little final thing I do want to say about the character select screen in terms of my big ideas is the background, right? So right now, the background is just like a blurred out version of the stage, which, you know, does help into making everything seamless. But what they can do is make that interactive, make certain backgrounds at the very least have some things that happen. Maybe in the archipelago, right? You could see, you know, the grass move around, or like some gust of wind, even small stuff like that. You could even see like a bird or two lying around. You know, just like the small things really do matter and add a lot to the stuff in the background. Maybe in the wasteland, right? You know, in this place where you're fighting Vegeta, right? Where Goku fought Vegeta. I forgot the exact stage name, probably on the screen. Maybe you could even see, like, I don't know, something stupid like a tumbleweed flow by, or, you know, again, gusts of wind or something like that. Maybe in the city stage, like imagine in the city stage, maybe you see like a car or two passing by, and then when you go to start the fight, you see like they all like rush away, and then there's like a little wind that like covers the screen before you actually get into the fight, right? Stuff like that could really make even the background and the overall feel and vibe of the background screen really cool. And of course, another important thing would be the music, right? In terms of music, they're gonna obviously create something, but a nice little, I think, like kind of just nice little sound would be really beneficial. Maybe they could even go with like some sort of rock to pump you up, right? Or ideally, you're able to select the music you have in your character select screen based on what's available there. But I don't think that is as big of a deal compared to everything else in terms of making the background lively. But again, ideally, like I said, they go to the, like how the PNGs were and kind of more of a traditional character select screen. But if they really wanted to, I think this could even be better than the traditional ones, and it could give more of a just a different feel overall, like a different take. I do enjoy the idea behind this again, but they really need to step it up a little to make it as lively as it can be. But again, at this point, the game is only 2.5 months out, so I doubt there's many changes they can make at this point. They're doing like the final little touches before they start sending the games out. That, I don't know when exactly that happens. I would assume that's at least a month before the release date, right? So the game's pretty much nearly finished at this point. Not that they can't even add this in a future patch. So again, it is always helpful to give feedback about these kind of things. But that's all I wanted to talk about. Just a quick little video discussing the character select screen. Let me know what you guys would like to see from this character select screen in the future. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, blah blah blah, all that nonsense. And of course, I will catch you guys in the next Dragon Ball Sparking Zero video. Peace out.